Elon Musk is finding your location and address for an unexpected offer. The offer is. It began with a sound that wasn't supposed to be there, a faint hum, like the low purr of a distant engine. No cars prowled the streets at that hour. Traffic was banned past midnight in this quiet neighborhood. I sat at my desk, the screen's glow crawling across my hands, convincing myself it was just the heating system or a passing drone, something ordinary, easily ignored. But the hum persisted, and when I glanced at the window, the light of something metallic shimmered against the glass. I told myself not to stand. The world was strange enough these days without chasing phantoms in the dead of night. Yet curiosity, or that irrational itch that makes you check behind the door just to prove there's nothing there, pushed me out of my chair. The floor was cold under my bare feet. As I crossed the room and pulled back the curtain, I saw it. A sleek vehicle parked at the curb, unmarked, not like the usual Tesla models buzzing around the city. It looked like a prototype, darker glass, sharper angles, as if designed in secret and unleashed just for this moment. The door hissed open on its own, releasing a puff of cold air, like the car was alive and breathing. I stepped back instinctively. That's when the voice came, not from outside, but from the small black device on my desk. My phone was plugged in and silent. My computer speakers were off. The voice filled the air, precise and calm. "Good evening," it said. "I apologize for the intrusion. My name is Elon Musk. I believe you already know who I am." My throat tightened. It wasn't a question. "You may be wondering how I found your location," the voice continued. "The explanation would be complicated and, in truth, irrelevant. What matters is that I am here, and I have an offer for you. Something unexpected, something that will change the trajectory of your life." I almost laughed. It was absurd, wasn't it? Elon Musk, the billionaire engineer and dreamer of Martian colonies, outside my window in the middle of the night, speaking as if this were the most natural thing in the world. But the vehicle was real. The voice was real. And deep in my gut, an instinct told me this wasn't a dream. "What do you want?" I said aloud, half to myself. The silence stretched, then the voice responded, "It is not a question of what I want. It is a question of what you are willing to accept." The vehicle's door remained open. The air around it shimmered faintly, like heat distortion. Though the night was cold, I felt an invisible pull urging me forward, daring me to step outside. I considered ignoring it, closing the curtain, shutting down the computer, crawling into bed, and pretending the night was ordinary. But I already knew I wouldn't. Not when something like this knocked at your door. The air outside smelled sharper than usual, like metal and ozone, as if a storm had rolled in without clouds. The door hung open with an odd patience, as if waiting for me alone. My street was silent, houses asleep, no neighbors peeking through blinds or flicking on porch lights. It was as if the world had shrunk to just me, the car, and the voice. I hesitated at the curb. "Why me?" I asked the night, my voice barely a whisper. The reply came instantly, clear and certain, "Because you are unremarkable, and that is exactly what I need." A chill ran through me. Unremarkable. The word should have stung like an insult, but there was no venom in his tone, only precision, like he was reciting facts. What if I say no? You won't, the voice said, and for a moment, I caught the faintest trace of humor, as if he'd already seen this play out. The hum deepened. The car's interior glowed faintly blue, shadows bending across the dashboard in sleek lines. I should have turned back. Every instinct screamed that stepping into a strange vehicle in the middle of the night, billionaire or not, was madness. And yet, there's a different instinct, the one that whispers that history doesn't wait. That when the extraordinary arrives, you don't close the door on it. I ducked inside. The air was warmer than expected, scented faintly with something electric. Not quite ozone, not quite steel. The door closed with a soft hiss, and the noise of the world vanished. No engine sound, no tires on asphalt, just silence and the steady rhythm of my own breathing. Then he was there, not in the seat beside me or the rearview mirror, but on the dashboard screen, Elon Musk's face, tired but alert, eyes gleaming with the energy of someone who hadn't slept in days. Good, he said, as if I'd passed some test. Now we can begin. The car moved without a sound. The neighborhood slid away, houses dissolving into streaks of shadow and light. I glanced at the window, expecting the familiar blur of driving, but the scenery didn't blur, it bent, twisted, rearranged itself in impossible ways, like reality was being folded as we moved. What is this? I asked. A prototype, he said simply. You could call it a vehicle, but that would be misleading. It's more accurate to say it's a vessel. One of the first of its kind. My pulse quickened. Vessel. The word carried weight, like a promise and a warning. And me? I asked. Why am I here? He leaned forward on the screen. Because you are invisible. No one is watching you. You have no enemies, no rivals, no fame. If you vanished tonight, the world wouldn't notice. That makes you perfect. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. Perfect for what? As if he'd heard the unspoken question, Elon Musk smiled faintly. I want to offer you a chance to leave everything behind. A chance to be part of something no one else knows exists yet. A chance to step beyond Earth itself. The words hung in the air like frost. Step beyond Earth itself. I almost laughed, but the sound caught in my throat. He wasn't joking. I could see it in his face, the seriousness in his eyes, the faint burn of obsession. You're saying space? I asked finally, though the word felt inadequate. I'm saying more than space, he replied. Space is an old dream. Rockets, stations, colonies. We've talked about those for decades. But this is not about going to space. This is about going further. The vessel shifted around me, not in motion, but in sensation, as if gravity had changed its mind. My stomach flipped and settled. Outside the window, the street no longer existed. In its place stretched a vast plain of stars, sharper and brighter than I'd ever seen, each one pulsing as if alive. I pressed my palm against the glass, half expecting an illusion, but the heat against my skin said otherwise. The stars weren't projected. They were there. "What did you just do?" I whispered. Musk leaned back on the screen, satisfied. "You've stepped into a fold in space. Think of it as skipping the line. No rockets, no launch pads, no equations. Just folding the map." The phrase echoed in my head. Folding the map. "And you're offering me what?" I asked, my voice trembling. "A seat on this. Whatever this is." His expression sharpened. "No, I'm offering you a role, something no one else can have. You will be the first civilian to live in a place that doesn't exist on any map, a station between worlds, a hub for what comes next." The screen flickered briefly, and behind him, I glimpsed something vast, metallic corridors curving into impossible arcs, structures glinting off in ways that defied architecture. The image vanished instantly, but it was enough to know he wasn't bluffing. There was somewhere else, somewhere real. "Why me?" I asked again, softer this time, almost pleading. "Because you're unremarkable," he said once more, but without sting. "Unremarkable people can disappear. They can slip between the cracks. That's what we need, someone who won't be hunted, tracked, or missed. Someone who can walk into the unknown without dragging the noise of the world with them." The vessel slowed. Ahead, suspended in the black, was a shape like a crescent of silver flame. It glowed faintly, haloed by rings of light that bent inward, forming a gateway. My breath caught. It wasn't a station, not as I expected. It looked alive, like it was breathing in the dark. "Welcome to the threshold," Musk said. His voice carried weight, as if he'd named something sacred. "This is where your offer begins." The vessel drifted closer, drawn toward the silver crescent like iron filings to a magnet. I pressed my forehead against the glass, straining to make sense of it. It was larger than anything I could comprehend, dwarfing every spacecraft I'd seen in pictures. Yet it wasn't mechanical. The curve was too organic, too fluid, as if it had grown rather than been built. The surface shimmered, shifting colors, pale silver 1 second, deep violet the next. It pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat across light years. "Is it alive?" I asked before I could stop myself. Musk's face reappeared on the screen, expression unreadable. "Not in the way you mean. It's a construct. A hybrid of material and intelligence. We call it the threshold. It's a door, a harbor, a beginning." The words tangled in my mind. A door to where? A harbor for what? But the vessel was already aligning with one of the rings of light, the gateway shimmering like liquid glass. "This shouldn't be possible," I whispered. He tilted his head, eyes sharp. "Most things worth doing aren't." The vessel slid forward, and for an instant, everything fractured. Light shattered across the glass. Sound collapsed into silence so deep it felt like falling into an ocean. My body clenched against the pressure. But then it was gone. We were inside. The space opened around us, impossibly vast, an interior that couldn't exist within the crescent I'd seen from outside. It stretched endlessly, curving upward into infinity, filled with spires of light and floating platforms drifting like islands in the air. Threads of luminescence wove between them like veins carrying energy. The scale defied comprehension, a cathedral of stars built by something that didn't think in human terms. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. This is where you will live," Musk said simply. "At least for now." My chest tightened. I didn't agree to anything yet, did I? His smile was faint, knowing. "You stepped into the vessel. You let it bring you here. That was your agreement. You chose curiosity over safety. That is the only qualification required." The vessel descended toward a platform glowing with inner fire. Structures rose from it, sleek and curved, their walls translucent like spun crystal. I could see figures moving inside, silhouettes humanoid but fluid in motion, as if gravity held less authority here. My pulse hammered. I wasn't alone. The vessel touched down softly. The door hissed open, and the air rushed in, different, sharper, cleaner, tinged with unnamed minerals. My lungs ached after the first breath, but then adjusted, as if the air had bent to fit me. "Step out," Musk urged. I hesitated at the threshold. "And if I don't, the vessel will return you home," he said evenly. "And you will spend the rest of your life wondering what you turned away from." I stared at the open doorway, at the figures beyond the translucent walls, at the endless cathedral of light above. My body screamed to retreat. But the same instinct that had pulled me to the window, to the curb, into the vessel, urged me forward. I stepped out. The ground was smooth beneath my shoes, warmer than stone, softer than metal. The moment my feet touched it, a ripple spread across the platform, as if the structure itself acknowledged me. The figures in the distance turned, pausing, as if they'd felt it too. One approached. My heart slammed in my chest. They moved like a person, but with unsettling grace, fluidity suggesting they were made for this place. As they neared, details emerged, tall, lean, features blurred by a sheen of light, as if the air resisted clarity. When they stopped, I realized they weren't human. Not entirely. Their eyes glowed faintly, twin orbs of pale fire, and when they spoke, their voice was layered, as if two beings spoke in unison. "You are the chosen," the figure said. My knees weakened. Chosen for what? To carry what cannot be carried by those who are seen. To bear what must remain hidden. You are unremarkable, and so you are perfect. Musk's voice returned in my ear, softer now, almost intimate. This is the offer, to become the first bridge to hold what the world cannot yet know. It will not be easy. It may not be safe, but it will mean everything. The figure raised its hand, palm open. Light rippled across it like water. "Do you accept?" I stood frozen, the vastness pressing down, the hum of the unknown thrumming through my bones. My ordinary life felt impossibly distant, as if it belonged to someone else. And for the first time, I realized there was no going back. Not truly. Because once you saw the door, once you stood at the threshold, you could never unsee it. The figure's hand hovered inches from mine, glowing. The air vibrated faintly, as if the world held its breath. I wanted to pull back, retreat into the vessel, demand return to my quiet life, familiar streets, my old desk with its glowing screen. But the threshold had claimed me. I could feel it in the platforms alive under my shoes, the stars above pressing closer, watching. What happens if I accept? I asked, voice unsteady. You will carry the seed, the figure answered. The word fell heavy, resonant, like a tidal, a force. The seed, the figure continued, eyes unwavering. It is not an object. It is not an idea. It is both and neither. It is the first strand of what will come, the architecture of a new world, hidden until the time is right. It cannot be entrusted to the visible. They would dissect it, destroy it, squander it. But you are unremarkable. You can vanish into the folds of the world. You can protect what others cannot. Musk's voice chimed in, smooth and precise. Think of it as holding the blueprint of the future in your very existence. You will live an ordinary life on the surface, but inside, something extraordinary will grow. Something no one else can know. My stomach lurched. Yes, the figure said, and as they spoke, the ripple of light condensed into a small, pulsing sphere hovering above their palm, no larger than a coin. It radiated heat, shimmering with colors that hurt to look at, hues my eyes weren't built to understand. This is the seed, the figure said. I took an involuntary step back. You want me to carry that? You were chosen, the figure replied simply, not for strength or brilliance, but because you can disappear. The seed needs invisibility as much as protection. You will become its guardian until it is ready to bloom. Bloom? I repeated, choking on the word. Musk leaned forward on the screen, electric with intensity. The seed will not stay dormant forever. One day, it will unfold. It will become the spine of something greater. Technology, civilization, perhaps even a new species. But until then, it must remain hidden, alive within you. No one can suspect. No one can know. My knees threatened to give out. The enormity pressed down like doubled gravity. Carry the seed. Become a walking vault for the blueprint of a future that didn't belong to me. Live invisibly with a burden no one could comprehend. Why me? I whispered again, less question than plea. Musk's voice softened. Because you're not extraordinary, and that is your power. The sphere pulsed, waiting, as the figure extended their hand closer. I felt its heat from afar, sinking past my skin into my bones. My body ached with tension. I thought of my small apartment, quiet routines, digital traces scattered online, my fragile, ordinary life, now impossibly distant. Yet becoming a vessel for something so vast terrified me more than anything. The figure's voice resonated again, layered and steady. Do you accept the seed? The platform pulsed beneath me, echoing the question. The stars swelled brighter, impatient. Musk's gaze fixed on me with hunger. The world tilted. My hand trembled. I raised it slowly, not from certainty, but from the unbearable knowledge that walking away was no longer possible. My fingers brushed the light, and the seed entered me, not touch, exactly, but a surge, a current leaping through my hand into my chest, burning, searing, until I gasped and staggered back. My heart hammered as if struck by lightning. I clutched my ribs, certain I'd collapse. But the pain softened to warmth, spreading through every nerve, vein, thought. The figure lowered their hand. The light was gone. "It is done," they said. I collapsed to my knees, panting. The warmth remained, nestled deep, humming faintly alive. I could feel it like a second heartbeat, steady and patient. Musk's voice whispered through the silence, soft and triumphant. "Welcome to the future." The warmth didn't fade. It settled deep in my chest, humming in a rhythm that didn't match my heartbeat but braided with it, like two instruments tuning. My hands shook as I pressed them against my sternum, half expecting a glow through my skin, but there was nothing visible, only the faint tremor beneath my ribs and the certainty that something alive was now part of me. The figure stepped back, light-drenched eyes unblinking. "The seed has accepted you." I looked up, throat raw. "What does that mean?" "It means you will not die tonight," the figure said. The words chilled me more than the air. My lungs stuttered in the strange atmosphere. What? What happens if it hadn't accepted me? The figure did not answer. Their silence was answer enough. Musk's voice cut in, brisk and sharp, to steady me. "You're stronger than you think. It's already bonding to you. In time, it will adapt fully. Your body will carry it without resistance." I pressed my palm harder against my chest. The phantom heat seared deeper, threading into my blood. "And if it doesn't, it will consume you," Musk said plainly. "But that's not going to happen. You wouldn't be here if you weren't chosen." The words steadied me, though they didn't soothe. The figure bowed slightly, ceremonially, before drifting back toward the translucent structures. Their rippling glow faded until swallowed by the cathedral of light. I was alone again, though not truly. The seed's hum inside was constant, inescapable. The vessel's screen flickered, and Musk leaned forward, his face lit by the cold glow I'd seen in streams and interviews.